Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, the Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans, by fans. Kings win today. They beat the Miami Heat 119-113. They are officially 1-4, but they're on the board, and they are now on the road. Calvin, what's up? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday indeed, Barry. It is a good Saturday. Kings win. Michigan wins. Go Blue. Suck it, Sparty.
Yeah, dude, I know you're stoked. That's awesome. I got to watch a little bit of it, but I was busy watching basketball. But shout out to Jeff the Lefty, Fred the Bouncer, everybody else here in the chat. I don't know who the horny child is. That's kind of weird. But shout out to you anyways. Shout out to Matt. Calvin, we need to get the Bouncer some pepper spray. Apparently some people are acting up in the chat. We got a pepper spray budget here on the channel?
I think we could probably swing it for some pepper spray. We appreciate the Bouncer and all the hard work he does at the door. So
you got to keep all the riffraff out of here. Shout out to Patrick, Matthew, Ramon. What is up, guys? Kings get a W, Calvin. Man, I'm excited. As I mentioned, 113-119. Kings win tonight. 13 points for Jimmy Butler. I guess I can show my screen here. 13 for Jimmy Butler, 7 rebounds, 6 assists in 37 minutes. 23, 6, and 4 for Bam Adebayo. He fouls out in 38 minutes of action. 15 points for Kyle Lowry, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 34. Tyler Hero went absolutely crazy in this game. We've been talking about how all offseason, how potentially Tyler Hero could become the starter for the Miami Heat after signing that lucrative contract extension. Well, he started tonight, and it looks like he's probably going to be the starter for the rest of the season for them. Absolutely killed it. 34 points, 5 of 8 from three-point range, and 11 points off the bench for Struss, or Struss, however you want to pronounce it. I pronounce it differently every single time. 18 points, 7 rebounds for Domantas Sabonis. However, he is in foul trouble this entire game and does foul out in only 23 minutes of action. Definitely something I want to talk about here. 11 points for for Harrison Barnes, 22 for Keegan Murray, 17 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists for De'Aaron Fox. And, hey, Kevin Huerter must have heard all the trash I was talking about him in the last stream.
Waiting for this.
He responds big, 27 points, 8 of 11 from the field, 7 of 8 from three-point range, scores the first 3 points for the Sacramento Kings and didn't turn back. 3 rebounds, 7 assists. And then the Kings bench, 10 points for Trey Lyles. He misses 2 free throws late in the game. Other than that, we don't get much bench production. 6 points for Malik Monk. And your dude Davion off night, 2 points in 12 minutes. Calvin, give me your first thoughts on the game.
Well, I think one of the last things I said the other night coming off of the loss was, you were asking me, what does this team need? What are you looking for in this Miami game or going forward, And I said they just need to play a complete game. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch, but they led wire to wire in this game. I don't think the Kings have done that for at least 1 year. I know that for a fact. I don't know exactly how long it's been, but it's been a very long time. They had a wire to wire win. Obviously, you would have liked them to close out the game a little bit better, but give credit to the Kings. They executed enough down the stretch. I can't speak highly enough about De'Aaron Fox in this game. He didn't blow anyone away necessarily with the stat sheet, although he did have a career high in rebounds. He was very, very active on the boards, and we've already seen, I'm sure most of you have seen the comments from Mike Brown post-game saying that after Tyler Hero heated up in the fourth quarter, De'Aaron went to him and said, I want that assignment. 4 straight possessions. He forces either turnovers or missed shots, contested shots. and the Kings go on to win the game. So this was overall a good look, I think, for Sacramento. The starters played fantastic.
I mean, it's always a good look when you get a W. One thing that we had talked about was Miami and how good of a team we thought they were going to be this season. They're 2-5. Yes, it is early. It's 7 games for them, but they're not playing well at all. And, this is a win for the Kings. I want to celebrate it. But at the same time, Miami's got some stuff going on themselves. So, De'Aaron Fox said after the last game, if you want to be a good team, you got to beat good teams. I'm not sure if Miami is that good of a team at this moment. However, I'm not taking anything away from Sacramento. We needed to get a win. And Calvin, I do have to say, I predicted this W. Did I not? Did I not?
You did. You sure did. I tipped the turnover chain to you. That's what we'll call it today.
I was a little off.
Look, I think Miami is a good team. Just like Sacramento, Miami's had a very difficult schedule to start this season. So they're not playing their best basketball by any stretch of imagination, but I think that Miami is a better team than their record. So this is a good win for Sacramento.
Did I say 120, 112 or 120, 107? I can't remember.
We'll have to go back and check the tape.
I remember I said 120 for Sacramento. So, yeah. Hey, we won it. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, didn't get to watch this whole game because it was on a Saturday and early. So if you are a Kings fan and you missed this game, go rewatch it, man, especially the first half because we had a lot of fun. We were up big early. It felt good. Unfortunately, watching that third quarter, I'm kind of like, uh-oh, this is the old Sacramento Kings we know. Every single game this season, right, I've praised, like, the Kings have lost, but they played really well coming out of halftime. They played well in the third quarter. Not so good tonight. However, they did, help themselves out in the first half and were able to overcome a bad third quarter and still win the game. You mentioned Mike Brown. Let's take a listen here into his interview. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, but we can listen to part of it. And, yeah, as you mentioned, great memeable opportunity here. But let's hear what Mike Brown has to say about the win.
It was a lot of fun. I told our guys the same message I told you guys before the game. At the end of the day, nobody knows how hard those guys are working. Every shoot-around, every practice, before shoot-around, before practice, after shoot-around, in the summertime. And nobody knows except for the guys in the locker room. And, we've kind of been searching, starting with me, different lineups, different guys, different this, different that. And everybody in that locker room has stayed patient. But watching these guys work every day and watching their togetherness, you just have a feeling that we're going to have a chance at this thing. And not for the short term, but for the long term. And so to get a win against obviously a good team like that, it's well coached. Got a lot of respect for Spo. Even though I used to kick his ass back in college, he was at University of Portland when I was at USD, and neither team was good, but we were better than them. But he's done a fantastic job, and so for our guys to get a win, especially when they turned it up the way that they did and brought a physicality to the game that most teams would have folded against, was a lot of fun to watch. I got to take my hat off first to Trey Lyles. Trey stayed ready. He was big for us tonight. That rebound, loose ball was huge. Defensively, he was great. And he stepped in and let that thing go when he was open like he's supposed to. So he was big for us tonight. I also think Harrison was huge. Harrison might only scored 11 points, but if you look at the plus minus, I think he was the biggest at plus 12.
He does look sad. I don't
more
know why.
He had 6 assists. He got off the ball when he needed to and got everybody involved and kept the offense flowing. Kevin obviously shot the ball well. Everybody will see that. He made 7 threes, but I was just as impressed as with his ability to get his teammates involved as well. He had 6 assists. And obviously, and lastly, and I can go down the line, but the last guy that I want to mention is Foxy. Here's a point guard that, in my opinion, is a winner, and he's a winner at the highest of high levels. And hopefully, he'll get a chance with this team to show it to you guys, because for a point guard to come up with 13 rebounds in a physical game like this versus a really good team, it's athletic, tough, well coached. That's special. That takes a lot of heart and determination to go in there play after play after play, especially guarding somebody on the perimeter, and then grab 13 boards to top it off. So, a whale of a game from him.
Yeah, Mike, first up, congrats on
Thank you.
your first win. When you look at the performance by Fox, you've said it many times, you know he's a 30-point scorer. He can put that up, but he has to do other things. Is this what you're
All right, I'm going to kind of cut that there for a little bit. But Calvin, I mean, he doesn't seem very happy in this interview. If I didn't know the score of this game, I'd think that he was talking about a loss. I mean, he was giving shout-outs to people, but the body language just was not there. I see Patrick in here saying Mike Brown doesn't look happy because he knows it's a long way to go. He knows what winning is all about. I could see that, right? You don't get too high, you don't get too low. But, what are your thoughts here so far in this interview?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would echo what Patrick is saying. He's got the big picture in mind here. I mean, obviously you feel good about winning, especially since you are coming off 4 straight losses. You finally get your first win of the season. You finally get your first win as head coach of the Kings. You're going to have a moment in the locker room where you guys all smile and celebrate and say, all right, this is what it feels like to win. This is good. But as soon as that's over and you leave the locker room, then it's back to the reality of the situation. We're 5 games into an 82-game season, and they're still 3 games under 500. So there's a lot of work left to be done, even though you can celebrate the individual accomplishments from guys in this game and the overall win. But it's right back to work. There's another game on Monday.
Yeah, Fred. Kings win tonight. It's so crazy to me, the difference in a guy like Mike Brown versus a Darvin Ham, right? The Lakers are winless. They're 0-5, but you watch his post-game interviews, the dude still has energy. He's got enthusiasm. It's a much different perspective and a different kind of a way to take things. You're comparing a rookie head coach to someone that's, had a lot of success in this league. And, they both coach LeBron James, but, and there's an age difference as well. But I kind of like what I'm seeing here out of Mike Brown. And I hope this kind of resonates with a lot of the Kings players, where it's like us as fans, like we're really happy. We're ecstatic, right? Like we won. We got a victory. We're happy. But I want the players to be pissed off, dude. I want them to be pissed off that we're 1-4 right now, right? Like, yes, we got to win, which is good, but I want you to look at that record and still be pissed because we are below 500. We're not where we should be. Whatever the schedule says, fuck the schedule, dude. Like, you got to play these teams. They're in the NBA for a reason, and you got to beat good teams to be a good team. And so I love what Mike Brown's doing here. It's interesting to watch as a fan, but honestly, I think this is probably the best for the Kings. What do you think?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Look, this guy's been around the block. He's been a part of some really good teams, some really good organizations, and he's won at the highest level. So that's exactly what a franchise like Sacramento needs. And so, of course, you're going to be, like I said, you're going to be happy briefly that you finally got this win, but there's a lot more work left to be done.
Patrick says, damn, the Jazz are the real deal. It's early, but they're beating everybody.
They did
Calvin,
just
what's
beat the
going
Grizzlies.
on with this
They are
Jazz
beating
team?
Yeah, well, the meme floating around of Danny Ainge, looking bewildered by accidentally creating the super team just keeps coming into my mind. It's so hilarious. But man, they're playing, give them credit. They're playing really, really well right now, and they've beaten some good teams too. It's not like they're just steamrolling through the cupcakes of the league, even though there really aren't that many of those anymore in the NBA. So, you gotta give it to them right now.
So you're saying one-dimensional Gobert and too small Spida was the problem with Utah, huh? Now they got some winners in there. They're ready to win.
That team. No, I think that team definitely had they had their shot, right? And then once things unfolded the way they did, it's a long list of things. There's the Rudy Gobert COVID situation. There's him and Donovan Mitchell not liking each other. And then I feel like they kind of, Mike Conley, in my opinion, has regressed a little bit over the past few years. I know I'm seeing a lot of people, or at least one person, really wants him on the Kings. I would not make that move if I was Sacramento. I think that he's definitely hurt them in the playoffs the last 2 years. But, hey, Lauri Markkanen is having a phenomenal season. I think that he was in a bad situation in Cleveland. I liked the idea of what they were doing with him, but I didn't think they were really using him the right way. He's kind of been unleashed here as the go-to guy in Utah, and, man, it's working out pretty well for them so far.
Yeah, 23 points for Kelly Olynyk tonight, 23 for Lauri Markkanen.
He's been really good for them, too.
21 for Jordan Clarkson.
Big play for everyone.
19 for Colin Sexton, 12 for Malik Beasley, 7 and 7 for Jared Vanderbilt. This team's playing like a team, and that's kind of what you got to do. We saw it with, the Atlanta Hawks years ago, right, where they didn't have a go-to player. Yet, what was it, 4 or 5 players on that team made the All-Star team because they played like a team. They played together, and that's what I really see out of this Utah Jazz team. They win 124-123. But let's get back to the Sacramento Kings. We got an interview here with Keegan Murray. Let's dive in here and take a listen to hear his thoughts on his first official win in an NBA regular season game.
I think we played well. But, that's kind of what we expect. We expect to win games. So it's been 5 games, and we got one. So hopefully this is momentum pushing forward.
Keegan, the last 5 minutes and 30 seconds was about stops, execution, and, of course, free throws. Talk about being in the moment in a game like that and executing down the stretch like that. That hasn't been happening for the Kings lately.
Yeah, I think it was big for us, just seeing the ball go down a couple times, and then I feel like we got the stops when we needed them. I think we're up 6, and they shot at 3. We got a rebound, so I feel like that was a really crucial stop in that department. So I think it's something that we need to continue to do moving forward, and I think today was a stepping stone for that.
Keegan, we talked yesterday about how you're trying to get that first win feeling. Now that you've got it, what were the vibes like? How does it feel to get that first win?
Yeah, it's a lot better than coming in the locker room after a loss, and the talk in the locker room was a lot shorter than usual, so that's a good thing. But no, it feels good to get a first win finally. Just hoping for a lot more.
Keegan, how much does this help to maybe alleviate a little bit of pressure that might have been building up here the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think just especially going into our road trip coming up, this is a big win. Just to feel what winning feels like this year with a lot of our guys. So I think just getting over that hurdle was big for us. And going to this road trip's not going to be easy. So I think this is a big momentum factor for that.
In a system where there's such an emphasis on pace and space, obviously the turnovers have been kind of an issue. What's the balance you need to find between being aggressive and looking to make those passes while also being sure that you're not turning the ball over?
Yeah, I think just making the simple pass, hitting singles, not trying to make the heroic play or the flashy play, just make the simple play. So I think if we continue to do that, our turnover numbers will be down. And that's something we need to continue to do.
Keegan, just looking at the 5 teams that you've played, the 4 that you've played, all of them extremely physical. How are you adapting to the NBA game and the physicality, especially against a team like Miami?
Yeah, I think the first 3 games helped me a lot going against Miami, just because Miami is known to be a physical team, a tough team. So just going into that, I felt like I've adjusted to it pretty well, and just using the physicality to their disadvantage, I think, is a big thing, and I think I've adjusted to it pretty well so far.
This dude is going to be an absolute stud, in my opinion. He has played incredibly well already. I love how soft-spoken he is. I love how aware he is. Calvin, what did you get from this interview? And give me your thoughts on Keegan Murray, because I know this was your guy in the draft. He just keeps proving you right, Calvin. And if you like Keegan Murray, smash up that like button down below, because this dude is going to be leading the Kings to the promised land. But Calvin, break it down for me.
Well, I don't know what else there is to be said right now. I mean, I think Sass actually says it best here in the chat. Efficient in interviews, efficient in movement, efficient shooting. The guy is just calm, cool, and collected in everything that he does. He seems ready for every type of situation that gets thrown at him. I think he has a very, very good mentality to go along with the essential tools of being a good basketball player: a beautiful shot, a good understanding of the game, good size and versatility. This guy is going to be a player in this league for a long, long time.
Yeah, I agreed. What's up, Tito? Good to see you here. Summer Low, I think Murray is already better than Pascal Siakam. I agree with that. What about you, Cal? I know you're a big fan of the spin move Siakam.
Yeah, I hope that statement becomes true sooner than later. I will not make that statement right now. Siakam's actually having one of the best years of his career currently. So he's a very, very good player. Keegan Murray is a very good player as well. I'd like to see a little more than 4 games of Keegan before I say that he's better than Pascal. But I love the enthusiasm.
What do you think this guy's ceiling is?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's hard to say right now. I think that he's shown that he is going to be a starter in this league, I think, for as long as, if he doesn't have a major injury, he can be a starter for 10 plus years, no problem. And this guy is such a fluid shooter. There's always going to be a spot for him on a team. My question is, can he develop into a go-to player, a number one option, a guy that you're not just looking for coming off of a screen for an open shot? You're down 2 or game's tied. I think that he's ready to, in those moments, take the shot. But is he going to evolve into a number one option in the NBA, a multiple-time all-star player? I think that's definitely possible, but only time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, this guy reminds me of Kawhi Leonard, and maybe not in the game exactly, but in his demeanor, his attitude, the way that he approaches the game. I have no reason to believe otherwise, that he's not going to continue to improve every single year. He's going to work on his game. He doesn't seem to have like an ego that gets in a lot of players' ways. A lot of really good players are sidelined by their ego, right? It prevents them from getting better, or at least getting past a certain point. I think this guy is very objective. I think he's able to look himself in the mirror and knows what he's good at, what he's not good at. He's going to do the things that he's good at, and I think he's going to work on the things that he's not. So I'm really, really high on Keegan Murray. I honestly think, Calvin, that he can be the best player on this Kings team. As far as this year goes, if they're going to make any noise, I think he needs to be the second best player on this team. I'm going to say that again. He needs to be the second best player on this team if the Kings are going to go anywhere this season. I love Sabonis. I like what he brings to the team. However, that kind of goes back to what I've always said about, how good can a big really be? How far can a big take your team? And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, look at the Nuggets. Look at what they did last year. Jokic is special. You can't really compare that guy to anybody else. But, you look at a lot of teams, they can only go so far having their big man be their first or second best player. I think that Keegan Murray can be the guy to pull it all together for this Kings team. And, if he is the second best player on this team this year, that means that De'Aaron Fox is pushing himself. And that means a lot of W's for this Kings team. He's 1-1 now in games he started here with Sacramento. It's early on, but I feel good about him, Cal. I got a good feeling about this one. I do. On that subject, since I think we can, officially say that he was a good draft pick at number 4. You know, he's a future superstar, future Hall of Famer, probably going to be the best player ever to wear a Kings jersey, you know, yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about last year's first-round pick in Donovan Mitchell. 12 minutes tonight.
Davion.
Oh, sorry, Davion. I wanted to be Donovan. Davion Mitchell. 12 minutes tonight. Only took 2 shots. Made 1, missed 1. 2 points. 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Make me feel better about Davion Mitchell, Calvin.
Oh, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that for you right now. Look, I just keep going back to what I said last year, or about last year, in that the Kings, whether it was because of injuries or a losing record or sitting players, they rolled out a team where they said, Davion, the ball's in your hands and we need you to go score. And that's not the case anymore. He's not, even though he has flashes where he shoots well, he's not a reliable spot-up jump shooter. It's not like you can just play him off the ball and try to get him open looks and count on that to be his main source of offense. He needs the ball in his hand. He's a slasher, a penetrator, and he's a volume shooter. He gets better, kind of like a heavyweight boxer or a good running game in the NFL, in football. Those types of things you want to get stronger as the game goes on. You take your little shots early, and then as the game breaks open, that's when you get the big plays, the big opportunities. And he doesn't have those opportunities right now because there's so many other guys on this team that you want either taking open jump shots or getting the ball in their right spots looking to score. So his opportunities are much more limited, and he's not a good enough playmaker for that to be the bright shining star in his game right now.
Yeah, good point. I think the bouncer wants to know if that chain is going to be available on RoyalRebounds.com anytime soon. He loves the chain.
Well, I love the chain too, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is I am very happy that the Kings won, but I cannot tell you how happy I am that Michigan won this game. I am much, much more ecstatic about that right now. That's kind of all I can think about, honestly, in the back of my head. We should maybe make a Royal Rebounds chain, though. I'd be down to throw one of those up on the store, Bear.
Ooh, that'd be cool. I'm down with that. We could do a purple Royal Rebounds chain. That'd be dope. Or maybe we do a silver chain with a purple little pendant on the bottom. That'd be pretty cool.
There you go.
Anyways, back to Davion. You know, I mentioned 12 minutes for him tonight. That is...
They play them all, Matthew.
That is the 4th most minutes off the bench tonight. And, you know, it kind of reminds me of the situation where the Kings drafted De'Aaron Fox and they signed George Hill. And I'm like, why are you signing George Hill? He's taking opportunities away from your young player and opportunities for him to develop. I felt the same thing when they signed Zach Randolph. I like Zach Randolph, but I'm like, you're taking opportunities away from young players, and we're not winning anything right now. Now, I know this situation is a little bit different because, you know, this is probably the best team we've seen in the past 10 seasons, maybe. They're trying to win some basketball games. They traded for a guy in Herter. They brought in, you know, Malik Monk and some of these other players. This obviously is affecting minutes for Davion Mitchell. How do you think this will affect his development? Are you kind of one of those guys where you're like, okay, well, game time is your only development time? Or are you like kind of one of those guys where you're like, okay, well, there's only so much time in the game. However, you're professional. There's other ways to get better, right? You're going to play some minutes in the game, but I need you in practice. I need you just working hard, being around the team, and then when your opportunity comes, it comes.
Well, I definitely don't believe that your only opportunity to get better is during the game. I mean, I don't think anybody would make the professional ranks if they only tried to get better during games. That there's clearly all sorts of other opportunities to work on stuff and get better. As far as is this the way this team put together hurting Davion's development? It's still a little early to tell with that one. I mean, I think that Mike Brown is a good coach for a guy like Davion, who's a defense-first guy. I'm surprised that, well, I don't know about surprised because I'm not around the team every day and not at practice, but I would expect that Mike Brown really, really likes Davion for that reason, both being defense-first guys. But I do wonder, what Davion's ceiling is offensively. I mean, he is a really, really good he's really good at creating space for himself, creating an open shot for himself. He's not the most efficient shooter, but with the ball in his hands, he's very, very quick. He's a good ball handler, and he's crazy athletic. So he has advantages in one-on-one matchups like that. This team is not really playing like that, though. I mean, with the exception of Fox, who can get by anyone at any time and get to the basket at will, you really are seeing the ball move a lot more with these guys to try and get it in the hands of a wide-open three-point shooter, which they have much more of those, much better of those this season, right? 27 assists in this game. Obviously, 20 turnovers is a lot, but 27 assists is great. So you're basically asking, can Davion become more of a true point guard? I hope the answer is yes, but he might have to go somewhere else in order to really, increase his overall production and increase his development in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned 12 minutes tonight. I obviously think that part of this tonight was a little bit situational, right? Sabonis got into foul trouble, only played 23 minutes. So, a lot of the minutes off the bench went to bigs, right? Like Trey Lyles. We saw Rashawn Holmes get 21 minutes. Haven't really seen him get that much play yet this year. But if you're Coach Brown, what are you telling Davion at this point? And honestly, what is Davion's role? Are you kind of carving out a place for him? Or is he just kind of a filler guy where you're like, just be ready. When we need you, we need you. Or is he like one of these core pillars, a guy that's going to come off the bench, be put on, the best player or second best player, and like he's a pillar here?
I think as of right now, it's somewhere in the middle of those two because, first of all, there aren't a ton of point guards on this team. I mean, maybe you could play Terrence Davis at point guard. That's not something I would do personally. Obviously, they have Dellavedova, but we all don't really expect him to get a ton of minutes every night. So there is definitely a clear role for Davion on this team, and that's backup point guard. Now, he obviously has a very different skill set than De'Aaron Fox, even though they're both quick with the ball in their hands and good drivers, good penetrators. But Davion isn't nearly as good of a finisher or a mid-range shooter as Fox. I mean, Fox is just a better player right now overall. So there's definitely a role, I would say, for Davion on this team. But he's still in the middle of that stay ready sort of a thing. Not necessarily because of him individually or his play, but you heard Mike Brown talk about it tonight. He's been fishing and trying to figure out what the right rotation is with this team, who to play with other guys in certain situations. So anybody that's on the bench right now is by default in that sort of stay ready mode.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that, this team definitely made a shift in the offseason to win now, right? They want to develop players and they want to compete, but they're kind of more in a win now stage right now than they were last year. And, having a guy like Keegan Murray, which is kind of weird to say, right? That your new guy that's played a couple games in the NBA here is now one of your go-to guys. He's a starter, and your guy that played pretty well last year has been a great defender and a first-round draft pick is almost fallen out of the rotation. I guess that just goes to show how NBA ready Keegan Murray is, and maybe Davion just needs a little bit more time. I do have high hopes for him. I think he will be a productive NBA player, but I think you're right. I think his offensive game needs to catch up with the defensive game. He can do a lot of wonderful things on the defensive end of the floor, but you can't be a liability on the offensive end because that can really handicap your team. I'm excited to see what Mike Brown can do for Davion because, listening to all the offseason interviews, he seemed to be very proud of him, to be very excited to work with him. He's a defensive-minded coach, like you said. So I do have to say that it's early on in the season. I think they're still trying to figure stuff out. But I think that there is a role for Davion Mitchell on this team. They're just trying to figure out exactly what that is. Talking about roles on this team, I want to talk about KZ here for a little bit. Played less than a minute in this game. No points, no rebounds, no assists, no shots. This is a guy that we thought was potentially going to be a starter. What's your thoughts? How are you feeling on KZ right now, Cal?
Personally, I feel about the same about him. I mean, I'm definitely not surprised that his minutes have been drastically decreased. Look, Mike Brown is, again, trying to figure out what the right combination of guys is here, and I think he felt that he needed somebody he could rely on a little bit more offensively, as well as a maybe not as good of a defender, but somebody that is at least reliable in certain situations. Harrison Barnes is getting thrown under the bus a lot in the past couple of years, and he's certainly not the same player that he was 5-6 years ago, but he's a very smart player. He's played in this league for a long time. He's a much better shooter, albeit streaky, much better shooter than KZ. So it certainly makes sense to me that KZ is seemingly falling out of the rotation for now. But look, there may come a situation later on in the year where you really need somebody gets in foul trouble at the wing position. You need a really solid defender out there. So his number will get called again. And like Mike Brown said after the game today, you got to stay ready.
Got to stay ready. Speaking of ready, we got almost 50 people here watching the stream. I need you guys to hit the like button. If you're a Kings fan, if you're happy about this win, if you want the Kings to win another game, or if you love Calvin's chain, hit that like button. Calvin, how many likes do we need to get a W against the Hornets on Monday?
I'll say 40. 40
likes. All right. Hopefully we can get it up there. We know, the Hornets beat the Warriors tonight.
They're probably going to have to score like 140 points. So
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right. Well, let's talk about De'Aaron Fox for a little bit. We haven't really talked much about him tonight. He was in foul trouble, ended the game with 5 personal fouls, 17 points, 13 rebounds, played 36 minutes, didn't make a 3 in this game, but 6 of 17 from the field. I see an interesting point here in the chat from Jesus. Says, I do find it interesting that we win a game when Fox don't score over 30 points. The team seemed more involved. How do you feel about, the moments where De'Aaron says, I got to do this. I got to be this guy. He's amazing, like his speed, his quickness, the things he can do are pretty good. And, before you guys at me, I'm not comparing him to LeBron James, but I remember watching LeBron early on. There was a lot of moments where LeBron had to get his, and his teammates were sitting around watching, right? They weren't involved. They weren't ready. Everyone wants to see LeBron get 30 or 40 points, but you also want to win basketball games. Where's the balance here between De'Aaron Fox getting his and keeping his teammates involved? Do you see any correlation here between the Kings getting a victory and De'Aaron not going ham? Or what are you feeling here?
Yes, I do see a little correlation. I mean, it is just one game, so it's not like that's the magic recipe, right? Fox has to score less than 20 and everybody else, they share the ball. But look, this team in the offseason, they wanted to add shooting, right? That was a huge point of emphasis. They went out and they got Herter, they got Malik Monk, they drafted Keegan Murray. They nailed it on all of those with shooting as the signature trait with all of those guys, right? In the games where Fox has scored over 30 points, those other guys haven't shot as well as they did tonight. They shot 45% from 3 today. Herter was 7 of 8, Murray was 3 of 7, and Monk was only 1 of 4, but Lyles was 2 of 4. So to me, that is a huge difference, right? If you're getting guys open looks from 3 and they're knocking them down, De'Aaron doesn't have to shoulder more of the load offensively and go to the basket as much, looking to score all the time. That's the balance, right? You see it in the starting five, all 5 guys in double figures tonight. That's the balance. If they can even out the scoring with some three-point shooting, that's when you're going to have Fox have these games where he doesn't go ape shit and score 30 points.
Speaking of guys going crazy, Kevin Huerter. You know, what do they say, Calvin? Kevin Huerter, 27 points, 3 rebounds. But the thing that really stuck out to me, Calvin, 7 assists from Kevin Huerter. Do you really, when you think about Kevin Huerter, do you think about a guy that's feeding passes, getting guys involved? Not really, right? You think of a shooter. 8 of 11 from the field, 7 of 8 from three-point range. You know, maybe getting roughed up in the last game, helped out his shot in this game. But, what did you see from Kevin Huerter tonight? Obviously, if he scores 27 points, the Kings are going to win a lot of basketball games. I don't know if this is sustainable for him, but I'm definitely going to enjoy it while I can. Give me your thoughts on Kevin.
Well, Kevin has been, to quote the bouncer here, the man since he's been in Sacramento. He's played really, really well. I mean, he's done exactly what they needed him or signed him on to this team to do, right? And that's shoot the ball. And the assists are icing on the cake or cherry on the cake, right? Like that's just beautiful. You can't ask for anything more out of a guy that's probably your best shooter. To be also moving the ball like that. And that, again, I think is a testament to Mike Brown and just continuing to try to work with this team about keeping the ball moving, that warrior-style mentality offensively of movement off the ball, with the ball. All of that was on display tonight. And, if the Kings shoot like this and play like this, they'll be a tough out every night.
Shout out to Dennis here in the chat. Good to see you, Dennis. Jeff says Calvin is a little blurry. Interesting, Calvin. You are a little blurry. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's the internet here in Maui. If you've ever seen that movie Hot Tub Time Machine, maybe you're going blurry, Calvin, because we've gone too far back in time before you were created.
Perhaps.
Or maybe it's because the Kings won tonight.
I think that's all that matters, right?
The more games the Kings win, the clearer Calvin's image will be. We'll go with that.
There we go.
We're 1-4 right now. It's a little blurry. The bouncer sent us a tweet. Cal, can you look that up? We'll look it up and read it. All right. How you like Scott Moak saying Keegan, us, the fans, say Murray. Oh, yeah. Keegan Murray. Honestly, we didn't get to do that on the first night because he wasn't there, but I would love to, next time we go to the game, I'd love to be involved. My favorite thing is the wave, Calvin. You know me. You know I love the wave. I love to start the wave. I got to be seated in the right part of the section, but I love doing the wave. That's got to be my favorite thing. But I'd love to get in on a Keegan Murray chant. Patrick, I'd love to. Sass says, I don't know which team is tanking anymore. For real, Sass, the Lakers appear to be tanking,
right.
Which makes me feel pretty good. All right, last guy I want to talk about here before we jump into the next game, and that's Richaun Holmes. 21 minutes for him tonight, 5 points, 4 rebounds, played some great defense. We haven't seen much of Richaun. We were kind of questioning what his role would be on this team. How are you feeling about Richaun Holmes at the moment?
I'm feeling about the same. I think everybody who supports this team loves Richaun, right? He's got a great work ethic and a great mentality. He loves being in Sacramento. But I think that he's reached his ceiling, honestly. I think that's where he's at right now. So he's a very solid backup center to have. I still think he's kind of struggling without having somebody like Fox and Halliburton playing the majority of the minutes alongside him. But he can still give you, a ton of effort defensively and on the glass. What he lacks, in size and athleticism, he always makes up for in effort. So you have to, guys like that are good people to have around your locker room and your organization.
Yeah, I agree. And we've raved all off season about the depth on this team. Rashawn's going to have moments this year where he's going to come up big for the Kings. I don't know when that's going to be, but like we keep saying, right, you got to be ready. The thing of having such a deep team is you're going to have guys that are underutilized or don't have opportunities at certain times. And when those opportunities do arise and present themselves, you got to be ready. I think Rashawn will be that guy. I think Davion Mitchell will be that guy. One reason why I predicted the Kings to make the playoffs this year is I feel that, I like the starting lineup right now. But it's the bench that's really going to help, level out the ship when the big waves come. Shout out here to Charlie. Charlie is an OG. Sorry I missed your question here in the chat, but Calvin, let's say things continue down this road. Let's say next week we're 2-8 or even worse. Who are you calling first? Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, DeMarcus Cousins, Jeremy Lamb, Kent Bazemore, Kemba Walker, or none of the above?
Well, I'd really like the answer to be none of the above.
You calling Batman or Ghostbusters?
Yeah, Batman or Ghostbusters would be good. Barry, right now I'm on the Mo Bamba train. I've seen a lot of good stuff out of him early on this season. I think that he would actually be a really good fit on this team. Rim protection, he can shoot from outside now as well. If I can't somehow steal him away from the Magic or get him away from the Magic, Dwight Howard is probably the only guy out of those people that you listed that I would call. For two reasons. Rim protection, even though I know it's not as good as it used to be, and rebounding. Those are two things that the Kings need right now. I don't see a role for Carmelo Anthony on this team. I don't see Kemba Walker really doing much for this team. Jeremy Lamb and Kent Bazemore were already here and they got shipped out or cut. So it's not going to be any of those guys. Dwight Howard, I think, makes the most sense out of all of those names in that list.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm going to Dwight Howard by default. Hey, that's only if he can sit down, though. I don't want him laying down on the sidelines. So if Dwight Howard can sit down, he'll be my first call because we need some rim protection, man. We really do. Jesus says, give Barry some red dye for his hair and a headband, red velvet for Halloween. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but thank you. And we're doing a show on Monday, Calvin. We're going to be wearing Halloween costumes, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Have you picked out your costume?
Yeah.
Okay. We won't give any spoilers here on the channel. You guys have to tune in on Monday after the W, right? Kings will be 2-4. That'll be pretty nice. But, yeah, we could dress up. And you guys can all dress up as well, Dress up in the chat and, send us some pictures. That'd be great. Did you get to that tweet? Is that anything relevant to bring up, or is it more of like a private message?
I'm sorry, man. Unless my phone is fucking up or something, there's no tweet in there. So
okay,
I don't know what to tell you.
We'll have to check it out again. Maybe he tweeted my other account here. I don't know, dude. So much stuff to keep track of at this point. Hey, real quick, I want to remind you guys all that we are giving away a $250 Fanatics gift card. So if you're interested, if you want a Fanatics gift card, if you want to get yourself a new Rashawn Holmes jersey, or potentially an Alex Len jersey, or maybe even a KZ Okpala jersey, or heck, why not even a Keegan Murray jersey at Fanatics, we're giving away a gift card, and it's simple to enter. All you got to do is go to our other channel, after this video, of course. It's called Basketball at the Bar. If you go to our main channel, it's listed there. Just click on the Fanatics video and put your favorite team down below. Subscribe to the channel, and you're entered in to win. Yes, Calvin, you got a question?
If anybody can find a KZ Okpala jersey on Fanatics, I will buy it for them.
Hey, they got customs on there, man. That I don't know about that. You
No,
really gonna
custom
throw that out
doesn't
there?
count. Custom doesn't count.
Oh man, Alfie man, I didn't even see you in here. Shout out. Does Calvin really live in Hawaii? Yes, he does. You can't tell by the chain. That's an Aloha chain.
Yeah.
And,
Barry
and
really
the
lives in
background.
Hawaii too.
I do live in Hawaii on occasion. You know, the funniest thing is when I used to be when I did your job, right? You're a pool server now. When I used to be a pool server, I had the stupidest questions asked to me all the time, dude. And honestly, I'm sure you get them all the time. But the stupidest question I ever got, and I got a lot of them, was, do you live here?
Oh, I get that all the time. I can't tell you how many times people ask me that.
I mean, it's like at first I was like, okay, I probably answered the question correctly the first, 1,000 times I heard it. And then after that, you're kind of like, all right, I'm just going to start making up stories to mess with people, So I was telling people, oh, no, I fly over every morning on the plane. My mom works for Hawaiian Airlines, blah, 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 all this. I just start making up cities like, oh, I'm from here. I fly over every day. They don't let me stay in the hotel, and I have to, they put me underneath where they keep the luggage on the plane. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, man. People, they forget their brains when they come here.
Yes.
All right, we're still
I'll
talking
leave it at
about the Kings. So let's move on here. And real quick, actually, I wanted to ask you, did you see what happened to Josh Primo?
I did see what is allegedly happening to Josh Primo. It's not a good situation.
So waived by the Spurs. This is like a first-round pick last year. I think he was the youngest
12th
player in the
overall.
draft. They're saying
12th
he's younger
overall.
than most rookies this year as well. They cut him after, what'd they say, a female employee said that he was exposing himself to her or something like that?
Yes, there is a female staffer who is claiming that he exposed himself to her unwantedly, I guess. So they were on top of it. They let him go before that story even broke,
Yeah, and so then did you see the statement he released?
Yes, I did.
That it's a mental health issue. Apparently he's dealing with trauma. I don't know what kind of trauma forces you to expose yourself to people, but it sounds like something pretty bad. I don't know.
Man.
I saw that multiple teams
It's
are
not funny, but it is kind of funny.
I saw multiple teams are interested in Josh Primo. Obviously, I don't think anybody's going to sign him until they get some more information here. But, if you're the Sacramento Kings, you got one call, like we said. Are you hanging up on Dwight Howard and asking Josh Primo for a D pick?
No, I don't think so. At least not right now. I think the Kings have their starting wing in Keegan Murray. I'd be looking for some help elsewhere.
Tito says she walked in the locker room on purpose. That's funny, man. I just don't know. I don't want to say anything bad because we don't know all the details. And I do make jokes at things, but it is a serious situation. I hope they get it figured out because definitely not acceptable behavior. The interesting thing from this story, for me, honestly, is the woman, the attorney she hired is Tony Bisbee, who's the same dude that's representing all these women on Deshaun Watson. That's wild, man. This dude is absolutely killing it with the sexual harassment lawsuits. He's killing it, dude. All right. Shout out to Eric
Tis the
here.
season, I guess.
Eric said he's feeling the gold chain. Yeah, dude.
That's
I need
right.
to get
Go
one.
Blue.
I think I need to get one. All right, let's
Shout out
move
to
on, Calvin.
our roommate Will Hawks, who got this for me for my birthday.
All right. Shout out to Will. All right. Let's talk about some more Kings basketball. So as you can see here, don't worry about all these red L's here. Those don't really matter. We're moving on. We like these big green funky looking shapes that go down, up, down, up. That's called a W, and that is what we are looking for. So next game is Halloween. It's another early game, Calvin. This one is against the Charlotte Hornets. The Kings are on the road in Charlotte, so they got a little bit of traveling to do. They're probably flying out tonight. I would assume they're flying out tonight. LaMelo Ball is out. Cody Martin is out. Terry Rozier is out. The Charlotte Hornets beat the Golden State Warriors tonight. And honestly, Calvin, the Warriors haven't been playing too well. I think they're 500 at this point. Give me some insights on what the Kings need to do
under 500 now.
to win this game, and don't tell me score more points than the other team.
Oh, that's always the answer, right, Barry? That's your favorite answer. I know that.
That's my go-to.
No, I mean, in all seriousness, look, they just have to get stops. I mean, Charlotte is one of the worst teams defensively in the NBA. Definitely right around or below where the Kings have been the past couple of years. So I think the Kings need to stick to the game plan offensively, keep moving the ball, try to get guys open, get them good looks from three, try to keep Herter and Murray and Monk and all these guys hot. But they have to just find a way to get stops and rebound the basketball. Limit the turnovers. I don't want to see another 20 turnover game. You definitely don't want a game against Charlotte to get into an up and down track meet because that's exactly how they want to play. So it's pretty simple. Effort on defense, box out and rebound.
There you go. That's simple. It's easy. It's easy. Calvin, you're getting called out in the chat here by the chosen one, Jesus. Funny. Not this one. I think it's the chain, dude. I think they're using the chain against you, Calvin.
They can use it against me all they want. Go blue.
All right. I got a good feeling about this game. I think the Kings are going to pull out another victory here. You got any predictions for me against Charlotte?
I will take the Kings to win this game. Yeah, I think that this is one of the teams that Sacramento should beat 9 times out of 10, probably.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially with LaMelo out. They cut LiAngelo. They got no balls, man. We should definitely destroy Charlotte in this game. No problem. It's on Halloween, my favorite holiday. Oh, man, it's going to be a wonderful day. Looking past that, we play Miami again. This time in Miami, we had their number tonight. You know how tough it is to beat a good team, multiple times. So that is definitely one I have on my calendar. And then they go on to face Orlando in Orlando. Orlando's been playing pretty well. They have a lot of good young talent on that team. However, they still need to put it together, right? And then you head back to California to take on the Golden State Warriors. What are you thinking here in the next 4 games, right? Like the Kings are 1-4 at the moment. So if they can win 2 of these, they come back, they're 3-6. If they can win 3 of these games, which is a stretch, but it's possible, you're basically, 1 game below 500 at 4-5. What do you think needs to happen on this? I know everyone's going to say, take it 1 game at a time. You got to win 1 game. I'm not asking for a coach or a player's perspective. I'm asking for Calvin, the fan with the gold chains perspective. What do the Kings need to do in these next 4 games, to make something happen?
Well, I mean, I am going to use some cliches, unfortunately, Barry. I think they just need to continue to build off of what they did in today's game, right? Like, look, the schedule is really tough up front, those first 5 games. Their opponents for the next 5 games have a much worse record overall than their first 5 opponents did. So it does get a little bit easier. But look, Mike Brown has talked about it so much, about how he's still figuring out what this team is, who he's got, who he can depend on. We talked about how the battling, the jockeying for position in the depth chart during the offseason and the training and in training camp would be a major focal point for this team that is deep, but they don't really know who should be, the first guy up in certain situations, whether it's a 6-man or just at each individual position. So I think that they're going to continue to kind of develop that, lean on guys they can trust. I think Keegan Murray has solidified himself as a starter from here on out. That will benefit Sacramento. Definitely fouls, I think, have been something that have gotten them in trouble early on. Sabonis has been in foul trouble a lot. Fox has been in foul trouble. So defending without fouling while on the road, committing to defense. You don't want to see teams scoring over 120 points every time on this road trip. And then, continuing to share the ball and getting good looks offensively, which that I'm not worried about at this point. They've got good enough shooters on this team. I think Fox is really settling in for this season for the long haul. So I'm not worried about offense. I just need to see them commit to defense and continue to make improvements on that end.
Yep. Tito, we'd love to do a collab with Deuce and Mo. We've actually talked to Mo about it. Our schedules haven't worked out yet, but we would love to do something with them, and hopefully we will in the future. It's tough, man. We're on a different time change here. Calvin and I both have other jobs that we do, so it's tough. But we definitely want to make something happen for you guys, and honestly, just as Kings fans, we root for everybody that's a Kings fan. Everybody that supports the Kings, that puts out Kings content, we want them all to do well. So, go, if you're not already, go subscribe to Deuce and Mo. Go subscribe to Sacktown Pete. Subscribe to Matt George. Let's spread the love around. You can subscribe to James Ham and Sean Cunningham. Shout out to Sean. I got to meet you last week. And everybody else. So we like to spread it around. So we'd love to do collabs with a bunch of those guys, and we do have some stuff in the works. We're working on it. It's just a lot of moving parts at this point. But hey, Calvin, today's been great. Kings, the bouncer, Sacktown Pete's been on our live stream before. Anyways, we talked about all the games. Kings win tonight. They finally we got a win. We end the streak, Calvin. We broke the streak. Now we're 1-4.
One streak down. Another big one.
I think we can open it up here to some questions. So if you guys got any questions, go ahead and drop them here in the chat. We'd be happy to answer. And if no questions, we'll go ahead and take off. But let me scroll through here a little bit and see if I can find anything. Calvin, you got any other thoughts?
A lot of really great games in the association today. I mean, I think what was the largest margin of victory for any game was like 9 points, I think. There was a lot of good action today. I know you were texting me about Ben Matherin from Indiana. Had a huge game. Brooklyn loses again.
He killed
Oklahoma City came back and won in overtime against Dallas, too, on the road. So
they're killing it, dude. Who's
tanking?
really
great games today. Exactly.
We don't know who's tanking. Whatever you do, don't look up Tyrese Halliburton's stats. You're not going to want to see them. Not going to want to see them.
If you want to see them, you can follow Basketball at the Bar on Twitter. I did post about it yesterday.
Matthew says, just wait till Calvin uses the chain on you. Interesting. Calvin is a martial artist. I don't know his training
used to be
using chains, but he did watch a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when he was a kid. So I'm sure he's got some moves. Tito wants you to wear the chain after every Kings win. Can we do that?
Absolutely. I would love to do that.
No gold jerseys anymore, Calvin. We got gold chains.
The only thing I will say is if Michigan football loses, especially to a particular team, I will not be wearing the chain. But every other Kings win, I will.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I really want to see Delly run backup point guard. He looks so good in preseason. Sass, everybody looks good in preseason, man. What are your thoughts there, Cal? You like Delly over Davion for the backup point guard, or I think it's too early for that.
I mean, Delly is a savvy vet. Like, he could definitely give you good minutes. I just don't know
when's the last time he played
like
in the
over
NBA?
the course of a That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but
it's been years.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be mad at seeing him play, but I just wonder how much of a contribution he has for this team over the course of a full season.
Yeah. Somebody says I need
and
my
look,
hair back.
The argument is, what is Davion's contribution over a whole season? And I get it. I mean, I definitely think that I'll say this. I'd rather have Davion playing defense out there than Deli. So,
all right. Calvin, Jesus wants me to ask you if you will meet up tomorrow at Ala Moana Mall, Wrong Island, and fight over that chain he's wearing. Interesting, because I'm sure you could go to that mall and there'd probably be multiple people trying to fight you over that chain, Cal.
Probably. But we do have to fly to that island, and I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow.
It's 30, 40 minutes. We've done it before. I would love to go to Oahu to watch football tomorrow. But I don't know if there's a flight out that early, at least on this side. I'm not driving to
Davion dives for
Kahului.
loose balls too, and his defense looks good. So, I mean...
Sabonis is always in foul trouble, and Holmes doesn't fit the system. Should the Kings trade for another backup center? This is interesting. Shout out to Ninja Style 916 here. This is kind of sparking a question that I had earlier for you, Calvin. And, I agree with Ninja here where it does seem like Sabonis is in foul trouble a lot. Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that he's playing center now instead of power forward? Would moving him to the 4 and having another guy in there that can take fouls potentially help out Sabonis?
Yeah, potentially. I think it would. But I mean, the question is, what does that do in the grand scheme of things, right? Like how, and who is it? Who's the guy that plays alongside him? I don't like playing Holmes and Sabonis together. I've said that many, many times. Outside of that, I'm really not that big of an Alex Len fan. He's a huge body that, can definitely have 2 to 3 minute stretches where he's effective. But I don't really trust him overall. So that's not my answer. Keita is unproven at this point. I would love to see him get more opportunity, but it's not like that's an automatic fix throwing him into the lineup right away. So the question is, if you don't want Sabonis to play the center, who does play the center? And I don't know that they have a really good answer for that question right now.
What do you think it would take to get Mo Bamba? Interesting.
I don't know, but I think it's worth trying. I really do.
He's blacked out here on the NBA trade machine. I'm not sure exactly why. I'm guessing that's because he signed a contract extension. So maybe he can't be traded until after December 15th or so. But, he's making $10 million this season. Oh, I got the Oklahoma City Thunder on here. Oops. Oopsies. What would you trade if you're Sacramento for him? Just to make the salaries work, I mean, you could do a guy like a Rashawn Holmes. Obviously, they're probably going to be looking for some draft potential, which makes sense to me. Or you combine, maybe don't get mad, maybe a Davion Mitchell and a Terrence Davis, or a Davion. And
I certainly
Alex
wouldn't be mad
Len.
at that. I would not be mad at that at all.
What are your thoughts? You think Mo Bamba moves on this year, or are they sticking with him? Because, I mean, Wendell Carter Jr. has played well. They got Bull, and then Mo Bamba. This team's got more centers than the Lakers got wins here.
That's true. They have a lot more centers than the Lakers have wins. And that's exactly the reason why I think you try to make a move for him right now, because they've had Mo Bamba for a while. They drafted him. But Wendell Carter, ever since they traded Vucevic for him, has been their starter. He got the extension. Now they just signed Bull, who is actually getting minutes in this rotation here.
Killing it.
So
he's been killing it, dude.
he's averaging close to 3 blocks per game in like 16 minutes or something like that. So
he's got the best per on the entire team.
Some good looks here, which is why I think there might be an opportunity to be able to steal Mo Bamba out of there.
Yeah.
And,
I
and as
agree.
far as what kind of package you put together to get for him, look, I'd be willing to listen to or to entertain a trade that includes anybody on the team outside of Fox, Herter, Murray, and Sabonis. I really would be open to anybody else. Interesting.
Okay. We will see what happens. I know Mo Bamba is a big gamer, and so is De'Aaron Fox. So maybe they already got a connection that way. Calvin, this is more of a personal question. Do you like John Cena? Are you a John Cena fan? I'm guessing
I'm going to be
chain.
honest. It is because the chain. I did see a few times in the chat, the bouncer says he has a chain from John Cena, which is pretty cool. Barry, I know you're a big wrestling fan. I am not. I've never been into, used to be. I have never been into wrestling. So I can't really say that I'm a big John Cena fan. Sorry.
Dude, I was a big wrestling fan when I was a kid. Yes, I knew it was fake. I thought it was cool anyways. I loved The Rock. I loved Triple H, Mankind, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Once The Rock left, I don't even know how many times he's left now. The dude's retired more times than Michael Jordan. But he's just, the first time he left to go make movies, I think it was The Scorpion King. I kind of stopped watching. I do have to say, though, one of my favorite birthdays, my dad took me, I think it was my 13th birthday. We went and saw Rush Hour in the theater. Maybe it was Rush Hour 2 in the theater. And then we went to a wrestling match at Arco, and it was great, man. Kurt Angle was getting into it with Vince McMahon. He drove up in a milk truck and was blasting milk at people on the stage, and it was like splashing into the crowd and the fans. The only time in my life where I've ever been like, I'm happy I'm poor and I'm sitting up in the top because I'm not getting hit by milk right now. But great experience, man. Going to those wrestling matches in real life is a whole nother deal. I definitely want to go again. And was it with you, Calvin? We were looking at tickets for WrestleMania. Maybe I was with Asha.
It was not me.
I don't know. I think I got invited or something like that. I haven't seen WrestleMania in 15 years or something like that. But in person, it would be a lot of fun. It'd definitely be a lot of fun. All right. 420 legal in Hawaii yet? Not yet. Lee. Shout out to Lee. R.I.P. Arco. Opinion on Davion so far. What's up, Sean? Sean's coming in here a little late. Calvin, you want to give him kind of your brief opinion again on Davion?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to keep it short because I'm sure people are tired of me saying the same thing about Davion. But I just think that his offensive game has not taken a step forward. He's being asked to do things this year that are out of the norm for him, or stuff that he's not used to. He's not a true point guard. He's not a facilitator. They have a whole bunch of new options on this team that are good scorers or really good shooters. Last year when he would come into games, they would just say, hey, Davion, we need you to score. We need you to get to the basket, all this stuff. He's not being asked to do those things anymore, at least as much, because A, they're trying to play a different style of offense, and B, they have better options overall on the team, so they don't look to him to score as much. And he is really a create his own shot type of offensive player. So you're seeing him struggle within the confines of the system and trying to be more of a playmaker.
Yeah, just not getting opportunities, unfortunately. I think he will, though. I really think he will. The bouncer says Holmes and Barnes and a first-round pick for Mo Bamba. Unfortunately, that does not work out salary-wise. The Kings will be taking on like pretty much $20 million extra in salary, which unfortunately, according to the cap, they cannot do. So, a deal like that, Orlando would probably have to throw in a guy like Terrence Ross, maybe a Gary Harris, stuff like that. But interesting deal here. We need to chain some wins together. Neil. I like it, Neil. We got to chain some wins together, Calvin.
Working.
I've been to Hawaii tons of times. Great memories. Missed the luau's at Paradise Cove. Jesus, man, I think you're talking about Oahu. We're on Maui. I know it sounds the same, but it's a little different. Great luau's here also. But yeah, we're a little bit away from Oahu. We are. We should give Fox's old hair more minutes. Ooh, good one, Matthew. I like it. Man, I love the old, like, what was it, the Super Saiyan hair? That shit was dope.
It was a pretty cool look.
If HB disappears in the fourth quarter, is Malik Monk the next man up? Good question, Jeff. Good question. Cal, I'll let you go first.
I think it's situational. It depends on the situation in whatever game we're talking about, as well as the team that they're playing. Because if you're going to go with Monk, I'm assuming alongside guys like Fox, Herter, Murray, and Sabonis, that's pretty small. That's a pretty small lineup to roll out there, and not the best defensive lineup either. I know Harrison Barnes isn't a lockdown defender, but Malik Monk is also not much of a defender at all. So I think that it's very situational with who you're going to go with first off the bench there.
Only 14 more likes needed till we get a Kings win on Monday. I have to remind you all, we are undefeated, Calvin, when we get 40 likes during a live stream. So hopefully the Kings fans here will step up and help the team get another victory. I agree with you, Calvin. I think it's totally situational, right? Like tonight, if Sabonis is in foul trouble, they're going to throw in more bigs to help out. I think it depends on where HB is playing at the time that he disappears, right? Because we've seen him play the 4, we've seen him play the 3. So I really think that changes. I think Malik Monk can be that guy offensively, but if he disappears defensively, maybe you got to put in a guy like Davion. Maybe you throw Trey Lyles in there, kind of like they did tonight. But honestly, I don't see HB needing to be the go-to guy in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be Keegan Murray, and that's wild. It's early. You know, obviously it's Fox and Sabonis at the moment, but I think that Keegan Murray, I really think that he can be that guy and step up. I really do. Lee, it's good to see you as well. Holmes and Barnes are good trade pieces for a big to have some rim protection. Couldn't agree more. I think that Monty is making things happen. And I'm just going to say what I've been saying over the last 2 years. I love all the players on this Kings roster, but any move that makes this team better, I'm all for, because that's what it takes at this point is you know, you got to fit the pieces together and get some W's. That's really, really what matters. Everyone has more centers than the Lakers have wins. Yeah, Matthew, that was the joke.
That is true.
That was the joke. All right, let's see here. I see more people talking about Calvin and his chain. Oh, sexfind.xyz. New private dating chat. Go check it out before I delete it if you are interested. All right. He's out of here. Jeff, spam. Oh, yeah, good point, Jeff. There is a lot of spam in Hawaii. Calvin, I eat spam regularly. Calvin.
I just had a spam musubi earlier today.
Spam's your favorite food at this point, right?
It is. I eat it with every meal.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, man, that's great. It's hard to joke with you when you double joke back at me. He's a champion at every level. He's played 2-year guys after 4 games, not worried. Yeah, I agree. I love the enthusiasm I'm seeing here in the chat. And the most important part, we got to win tonight, Calvin. I'm just going to keep saying that. Kings win 119-113 over the Miami Heat. We got a W. What's up, Sean? Sean with an EAN. Good to see you. We need a rim protector. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. So Calvin, I think it's about time to end the show, but I got some homework for you, and I guess for myself as well. You know, you and I are going to be watching football tomorrow, probably talking about the Kings, but I want you, and actually I'm going to open this up. I think this is homework for all the Kings fans out there. On Monday, let's talk about some reasonable trades for some rim protectors. I like Mo Bamba a lot, but let's look at all the rosters. I'm going to play some 2K. I'm going to make some trades. I'm going to try and win a championship with the Kings. But everybody out there, let's look at some realistic trades for some centers. Obviously, we need a rim protector, and let's report back to the class on Monday. Matthew's already getting an F, but hey, if you show up, that's half the work. So,
Matthew, I'm with you, man. I don't do homework either. I couldn't make it through college because of the homework, not because of anything else. So
I don't think it was the
Mo
homework,
money.
Calvin. I think it was the chains, dude. You had too many chains on, couldn't get to class, weighing yourself down. Anyways, I think that's it for me. Calvin, you got any last words for the Kings fans out there?
Yes, I'm hearing it loud and clear in the chat. Where are the drinks at? You're right, guys. We have been slacking. I guarantee you Monday, after or during Monday's show, I will be drinking a beer.
I only drink during losses. So, yeah, I'm going to be drinking a lot. But, yeah, no, for real, though. I had a couple beers at lunch when I was watching the game, and then I actually got to drive to the other side of the island tonight. So I am being a responsible adult and not drinking and driving. So there you go. But, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you all so much. Kings get a victory. Please don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you all on Monday for another Kings victory. But in the meantime, you know it. Go Kings.